משמאל דוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר. בינות אשר ירביצני על מי מנוחות ינחלני, נפשי ישובב. ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו, גם כי אלך בגיא מוות, לא ירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדיפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. I've read for you the words of our 23rd Psalm. At these moments when our hearts are breaking, when we are in search of comfort and strength, we often turn to the psalmist. And so I ask you at this time to join me as we recite. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the blueness of sky and in the warmth of summer, we will remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her. And when we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember her. So long as we live, she too will live, for she is now a part of us as we remember Harriett Collins. To her sons, to Larry and Stu and Howard, and also to Robin and Carol and Kim, and to her grandchildren, Nathan, Alex, Taylor, Jamie, William, Austin, Seth, and Molly, and also to Sarah, Michelle, and Kate, and to her great-granddaughter, Nora, and to all the members of the family, and to so many dear and cherished friends. We have come together today to remember and to celebrate the life of your beloved Harriett. Our sages, in their wisdom, have taught us that birth is a beginning and death a destination, and life is a journey, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then, perhaps, to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, and life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. Harriet's journey of 84 years began here in Cleveland. She was born in 1933, and she was the only child of Ben and Rose Baxt. Harriett grew up in University Heights and attended Cleveland Heights High School, where she enjoyed a very nice group of friends, and she was active in her high school sorority. And following her high school graduation, she matriculated to The Ohio State University. She spent 1 year in Columbus and then returned home to Cleveland. And upon her return, she was fixed up by a mutual friend to meet Lenny Collins, a young man who had recently moved to Cleveland from Toronto. Harriett was a beautiful and stunning young lady, and Lenny was quite handsome. I believe one of her grandsons, Alex, said that she had told a story that when she saw him, she thought he was hot. After a couple of dates, each of them knew that they had found their beshert, the one that they were meant to be with. Their courtship was brief, and Harriett and Lenny were married on October 4th, 1952. And together, they enjoyed a beautiful life. They loved dining out with their friends and their couples club. They loved their neighbors on Orchard Heights Drive in Mayfield Heights. These friends in their neighborhood became more like family, and their children would grow up calling these neighbors aunt and uncle. And together, they enjoyed traveling. Harriett and Lenny visited Florida and Mexico and the Bahamas. They looked forward to their cruises, and they also enjoyed many visits to Toronto, where Lenny was from. As a couple, they thoroughly enjoyed their family. And Larry and Stu and Howard, when each of you entered into the world, for your parents, it felt like the Collins family portrait was complete, and their hearts were so full. Her sons remember a mom who had an infectious laugh. She had a great sense of humor, and whether by accident or on purpose, your mom had her own special, funny way of saying things. You also remember a mom who had a soft spot for the family dog, Tippy. You shared that your dad was a traveling salesman, and sometimes he'd be on the road for a week or even up to 2 weeks at a time. And so much fell on your mom. Raising 3 boys, she had to be the disciplinarian most of the time. She could be tough, but always loving. She taught the 3 of you life skills and life lessons. And in 1970, your family moved to McCall Road in South Euclid, and you saw another side of your mom as she entered into the workforce. Harriett went to work at Menorah Park. She was the banker. That was her title, the banker, to the residents. And she did this quite well for 25 years. And not only did your mom perform her duties in an exemplary way, but Harriett managed to create numerous friendships through her work at Menorah Park. And these were friendships, relationships that were strong and lasting. Larry, Stu, and Howard, while your parents enjoyed doing much together, they also had their individual likes. Your dad's, his was golf, and your mom's, hers was shopping. From the stories you shared with me, it seems that if shopping was an Olympic sport, your mom would have swept the bronze, silver, and gold medals. As you described to me yesterday, the way your mom could shop between the hundreds of cans of soup, the toiletries, enough in the house for at least a year or more, and of course the clothing, many of which would always have the tags remaining on them, she was ready to face anything resembling the apocalypse. Her collection of magazines and catalogs and coupons were impressive, to say the least. And Harriett, I'm told, was an equal opportunity employer with her shopping, from Walmart to Nordstrom's and everything in between. She supported everyone she could. Her daughters-in-law have some very special memories as well. Robin, you recalled the wonderful family vacation where everyone, 3 generations, went to Oglebay in West Virginia. You shared it was a great time, and it was a time filled with a lot of love and laughter. And Kim, you and Harriet had a shared passion for craft shows. Your mother-in-law could not get enough of these, it seems, and you knew that with her shopping skills, she did quite well. She really shone brightly at these opportunities. And Carol, you told me that you adored her. Those were your words. You said that the two of you enjoyed a very close and special relationship and that you talked all the time. And she entrusted you with her chicken soup recipe. And to Robin and Carol and Kim, I'm certain that the greatest gift that you ever gave your mother-in-law was her most precious treasures, her grandchildren. So boys, you saw that your parents were quite a special team. And with your dad's passing in 2002, your mom, she could have given up, but she did not. She persevered and she made her choice to live her life to the fullest. And of course, her grandchildren certainly made her life so much richer and fuller. Grandma Harriet and Papa Lenny's home was one that was always open and welcoming to the grandchildren. Your Grandma Harriet made her home completely accessible to you. There was the extra bedroom upstairs, also known as the messy room, where you'd play, and the baskets that were filled with toys, and these toys were the toys that your fathers all played with when they were growing up. There was the pool table in the basement. Sometimes you'd use it to play pool, and sometimes your grandma might tolerate for you to stand on the pool table so you wouldn't get swallowed up by the lava. She was the grandma who had the endless supply of candy dots. And you remember the family time spent on Sundays, all of you together watching football and enjoying each other's company. Your grandma also provided holiday celebrations, Hanukkah, Passover, and Rosh Hashanah, with Grandma Harriet's delicious cooking, her matzo ball soup, and the farfel, and her amazing Jell-O molds. She spoiled you, and she loved doing it. And these past 2 years, when her great-granddaughter, little Nora, would come to visit her, Harriet would just light up. Harriet was a very strong and intelligent woman, and she was also quite beautiful, always dressed impeccably. Her hair and her nails, everything was just so. She was an avid reader, and her favorite books were romance novels. As Jamie reminded me, the trashier, the better. She loved her Manischewitz, and she also enjoyed those day trips to casinos. Harriet played mahjong and cards with her girlfriends. And when she moved to the Wynwood Apartments, and then after that to R.H. Myers, Harriet just kept on making friends. Everywhere she went, she was making new friends. And these past 2 years, Harriet lived at Menorah Park. The last night of her life, Harriet was surrounded by family. Her grandson, Taylor, and his new wife, Kate, were on their honeymoon, as they were just married last weekend. But everyone else was there with her. While she couldn't respond, she heard you as you were speaking to her and singing to her and telling stories and enjoying the laughter that followed those stories. She was surrounded by a lot of love. You know, boys, she was there, of course, as you drew your first breath. And you and your families, they were there as she took her last. She was a woman who truly loved her family, and so very special it was for her to be surrounded by all of you at that moment. Harriet was a devoted wife, a great mom, and a playful and loving grandmother who treasured her entire family. And so today, we join with the sages of our people as we declare Zichronah Livrach. May the memory of Harriett Collins and the good deeds that she performed here in the land of the living, may these always be remembered as our blessing. Amen. Our tradition teaches us that words which come from the heart enter directly to the heart. And so at this time, her son Larry has words from his heart he wants to share with all of us.
To say the least, Harriett was a strong woman who at 21 had 2 children, boys, mind you, all within 2 years of her marriage. My father was committed to supporting his family, and in his new home in Cleveland, having been here not very long, armed with moxie, a 6th grade education, but streetwise. He worked hard and enjoyed the support of our Uncle Joe and Aunt Hap, and Mom's mother, blessed memory, both of them, Rose and Ben. But he was proud and determined to succeed. So he found success on the road as a salesman after stints in manufacturing and vending and retail clothing here in Cleveland. He hit the road. The life of a salesman put a burden on the family, and Harriett had to run the house, run the finances, and run the children, which she did as admirably as she could with only 2 hands. This workload might have crushed some people, but Harriett persevered, and despite the obstacles, made a home for us. We never lacked for anything. And she was always there for us. While Dad's passing was an explosion in our lives, and it was over before we even arrived to be with him, Mom's passing was gentle and certainly surrounded by family. And while it tested us, in the end, she passed in peace, and we prefer to think that she knew that all of us are there. I want to thank all of her loyal and supportive friends and extended family, because for someone who lived on the telephone while I was growing up, she didn't know how to answer the answering machine or would never pick up the phone. So it was very difficult in that time, and in her later years that was kind of funny. I want to take this time, though, to thank all the caregivers, especially Dorothy. She was great. You were her rock, and in many cases ours too. The connection, she just drove her whenever she needed to and took care of her and got her dressed, got her down for dinner when some of us couldn't do it. So we would always call on Dorothy, and we can never thank her enough. Good night, Mom. All our love.
As you are able, I invite you to rise for the memorial prayer, El Mole Rachamim. El Mole Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Omsei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, B'malot Kedoshim U'Torim, Kezohar HaRakia Masirim, Et Nishmat Yakirenu, שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן, תחיה מנוחתה. אנא ברחמים אסתירך, בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, ותצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום, על משכבה, ונאמר אמן. O merciful God, who dwells on high, who is full of compassion, grant perfect rest beneath the shelter of your divine presence among the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament. To our dear departed Harriett Collins, who has gone now to her eternal home, may her soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life, and grant that her memory inspire all of us to noble and consecrated living. And to this we say, Amen. Friends, we will be processing to the Mount Olive Cemetery, and following the interment, the family will receive visitors at Carol and Stu Collins' home. The address is 37096 Deer Run, located in Solon. Visitation will be today until 5 p.m., and then again tomorrow evening from 5 until 8, and also on Sunday from 1 until 4, and then again from 6 until 8 p.m. Harriet's name will be read tonight and for the following 3 Friday evenings at the Temple Tifereth Israel when we recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Those Shabbat services begin at 6 p.m. and everyone is invited. For those of you wishing to make a contribution in memory of Harriett, the family has suggested that you might consider the Alzheimer's Association of Cleveland Area Chapter. On behalf of the family, we thank you for your love and your support on this sad but important day.